Hey guys, in today's video we're going to explore CSS Grid and the possibility it's giving us, and the possibility it's giving us that we can make a rich layout with the CSS Grid and with very few lines of code. And in the example you see what I mean by that. Okay, the beauty of the CSS Grid is that it's two-dimensional, so we have much more control to the items and the grid as well, that we have like Flexbox. And most of this stuff here you can do with the Flexbox and you can do with just CSS, but it's getting a little bit, well, not a little bit, more lines of CSS to create this stuff. Okay, for the today example we're going to do a real world example, and we get a design that I found in the web and we transform in valid HTML and CSS. Okay, I show you the design that I just found in the internet, I think that I found in Pinterest. Okay, so that's the design, and I chose the design because obviously you can see that the layout is a little bit different than the layouts that you get to use to see in the web everywhere. Okay, what I mean by that is that, as you can see, that some of the boxes they just small and some of the boxes they big and they get more spaces, and some of the boxes they have a different height. Okay, and it's very simple design, so it's not going to take us so much time. Well, let's start and we see how that's working in the process. Okay, so first of all, what we have to do is that you have to create a folder that you can start to create the files that you needed. I create one folder in my desktop and it's called Minima. Okay, you can create the folder whatever you like and you can name it whatever you like. Okay, and inside in the folder obviously we're going to need the more important part, is the index.html. There we go, we have the index.html, and then we want as well style, so we're going to create a folder that is called CSS, and inside in the CSS we're going to create style.css. Okay, so that's going to be our style, and let's start with from here. Well, because I'm using Visual Studio and Visual Studio is coming with Emmet directly. Emmet is extension that help you writing HTML and CSS much more quickly and much more efficient. Okay, so what I can do to create a basic HTML structure is just like this, and then press tab and you get the structure, the basic structure that you want. We just change the title here, and under the title we're going to include the CSS file that we have, like saying we want a link, we want CSS link actually, and it's going to be in CSS directory. Okay, so with this we include our style, and let's test that everything is working fine. We create h1 with the test, we save this one, and in the style we're going to say well, h1 we want to be color, let's say red, a beautiful red. We can save it, and let's open the index in our file system. Okay, in our folder from here, and actually we open the browser and we drop in the browser our index, and as you can see everything is work fine. Okay, we have the test and it's in as in red color. Okay, so we don't need the folder anymore, and we don't want the style here. Okay, we delete the style and we delete the h1. Okay, so let's have a look at our design and see what the approach that we're going to get, or the path that we're going to get to transform this mode to HTML. Okay, as you can see, a very simple design. First of all, we're going to create the header of the application, and the header is going to be two parts. One part is going to be the logo here, and then the other container is going to be our navigation with the links here. Then the other important part for our example, that's going to be our grid container. All this is going to live inside in one container. Okay, and then the grid is going to be inside in this container, well, the grid and the header as well. And then we create the items in the grid, the day 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 let me see, that's a 3, that's a 6 7 8 9 10 11, 12, 13. Okay, there's the 13 items that we have in this design, and down in the bottom, if we have time, we can create as well the footer. As you can see, there's very simple footer. Okay, so let's start first with the structure of our HTML, and then once when we have some basic structure, then we go in the CSS and we start with the styling the structure. Okay, first of all, like I said, we're going to create a container that's going to hold everything. It's going to go container, and then inside in the container we want a header with the class of header. Okay, and then inside in the header class of header, the first thing that we want is the logo. There we go, we have the logo, and the logo is going to be the image tag, and the image tag is going to pick the logo that I just create, EMG. I just make a simple SVG logo, just that we can use for the example, EMG, and it's called it simple as that, logo SVG. Okay, and that's it for the logo. And down there we say nav. We want a nav tag with the class of main nav. Okay, there we go, we create the class of main nav here. And inside of this we want 8 tags, like we want 4 8 tags. That's correct. We will have 1 2 3 4. Yeah, that's 1 2 3 4. We say 8.4, and because it's just an example, so we make the href that is not going anywhere. Okay, because that's just example. If it's a real project, probably you should put some path here. Okay, so first one, it's the projects, then was about, and then we have a contact, and then we have what was the last one, block. Okay, we say block. Okay, oops, sorry, and we save it. Let's actually go and refresh the page to see that, yeah, we have the logo here, and we have the 8 tag down there. Okay, let's continue. That's the header, and we're done with the header. So the next step is going to be actually our grid container. That's going to be a grid container, and inside in the grid container we want what was it, well, we want to put the items, and let's go to call the items grid items. Okay, like this is obviously what we're talking about. Okay, grid item, and we say we want, what we say, 13. We want 13 of these items. Sorry, that should be a class and not a tag. Okay, yeah, 13. Okay, there we go. What I prefer to do is that put some numbers, so when we start to work with these items, when we start to work with the grid items, we can recognize which item, the position of which item, where is it. Okay, so simply we just say numbers, well, from 1 until 13, 8, 9, that's going to be our 10, that's going to be our 11, that's going to be our 12, and that's the last one, 13. 13, and don't worry for the number, guys. Well, I'm obviously not thinking that the 13 is bad number, so don't worry. If you prefer, yeah, you can put 14 items, so don't worry for this. Okay, let's save it here. And I think that with this structure, with this HTML structure, we good to go. Okay, we good to go, and we start with the style. Okay, first of all, we going to do some well, we're going to do some prefixes. Okay, because we want, obviously, well, you see what I mean. We want, first of all, every item, every container, every element in our DOM, it's going to be with the box size border box. And what that means is that the padding is getting the size inside in the box, and it's not making our box or our element bigger Okay, there we go. And then as well, by default, the body of the DOM is coming with some margin, so we want to say the body, it's going to be a margin 0. Okay, and I set the body margin 0, and that's going to be the only style here. And then we're going to put some different styles on the body, different body, and I explain you why. Because probably the margin 0, we're going to use it for H1 and P1 and most of the elements that they have already some margin by default, that probably we don't need it, so we just can include here. For example, if we say well, H1, that's going to work for the H1. Okay, and down for the body, we want as well to say the font family, it's going to be well, let's say the more space we're going to use it, because it's very similar from the font that we use in our design. Well, it's a similar. Okay, then well, we want some line height to have. The line height, we just need to see that it's everything separate. The lines in the paragraphs and in the H tags are separate, so we can see everything clearly. Okay, and as well, let's say some color that it's going to be like 333. Okay, I think that we should be fine just with this simple style. And let's create the helper styles. Well, let's start with the container. Let's start with the container, and the container, it's going to have the max width, let's say 12,000. Okay, pixels. Okay, and then, sorry, that's too much. There we go, 1200 should be fine here. And then we say the height, we want just to be auto. And then, because we want the container to be in the center in our page, we just say we just have here margin, that we want the margin up. Okay, we can make some more helper class, like for example, if in the future we're going to use some padding, we just say P2 and we say padding of 20 pixels. Okay, not 2, I say 20 pixels. Okay, there we go. And let's start with our header. Okay, what we do in the header is that we say the classes header. Oops, sorry. The classes header, and we want to be the width of 100%, the height of 60. Okay, 60 should be fine, and not percent, and it's going to be pixels. And then I just give a background just to see the header. So we say background color, it's going to be DDD, just to see that what's happening and that everything is working. Okay, as you can see that because it's inside and our containers is in the center, and the maximum was 1200 pixels. Okay, and that's, well, obviously the logo is quite big, so let's change this one. Let's say, for example, that's the header here, and we say a header, and then logo. Oops, sorry, and logo, and well, actually we want the image of the logo, the image tag. We want to make some width, like, I don't know, 100, width of 100 should be fine. Let's see what's happening here. Yeah, the width of 100 is fine. And now let's align this stuff here. Let's first of all say that we want our logo to have a width of, let's say 30%. Okay, because we want that is getting 30% of our header. There we go. And then we want to align all this stuff here inside in our header. So what we can do is that we can go in the header and we can say, well, probably we're going to use a flex more, so we say flex box here, and we say display flex. We're going to use our flex in, we just put here in the header. There we go. Let's see what we have here. That's working correctly. And what we can do as well is that we can give a line of center. So let's do the line here, because probably we're going to use it in more places. We go for align it item center. That's going to align here everything fine. Okay, and then let's see what we can do with our navigation. That's a header, and there was a main nav. Okay, and a main nav. For the moment we leave it like this, and let's go to give some style of the A tag. We say the A tag, first of all we want to see some margin, so let's say margin of let's say 15 to see how it looks like. Then as well we want to change the color a little bit. We put a 222 and it's going to be a black color here. And then as well the text decoration we don't need it actually, so we say none. Let's see what's happening. Yep, that's look fine. Well, probably we can boost it a little bit. We can make it a little bit more bigger. So what we can say here is that we can say font size. What was it? Well, let's say 1.1 M. And let's say that when we refresh, well, that's perfect. Let's see that the alignment is okay. In the design, let's start from here. Yeah, that should be fine. Okay, well, probably it's a more space between the links, or let's make it a little bit more space. Let's say 20 pixels here. Well, actually the space we can do it for the moment. I think that should be fine. Okay, for the moment that's work. Let's move a little bit the logo, because as you can see here that the logo is just in the corner. So first of all, why we not give the padding that we just create of our header, just to see a P2, what's happening with the P2. Let's make a little bit more space, and then we say let's see the logo. We want to move our logo in the left, so we say margin left minus I don't know, let's say 35 to see what's happening here. If we move it 35, yeah, that should be fine. And then we say margin bottom minus 35 as well. That probably should be too much. I think that that's fine. Okay, that's fine for the moment. So I think that we done with the header. We don't need to do so much stuff for this. Okay. Actually, we need a little bit more space here, so we can say 40, because we want to separate from the top. Well, okay, what about 50? Sorry guys. Yep, that's look fine. Well, let's start with our grid. Okay, well, actually let's remove first the background color, because we don't want the background color here. There we go. Okay, move it. And let's start with well, the grid. Okay, so down there we say, we make a comment here, and we say like this, that we know that we start from here. We say a grid, that's the class, and first of all we give a width of 100, and then a height again we say it's going to be autumn. Okay, and then the display, it's going to be a grid. Okay, display of grid. Okay, so let's see what's happening here. Everything is going to continue to be the same, because first of all what we have to do is that we have to say a grid template, grid, sorry guys, template columns, and here we say repeat, and we want let me see, we want 3 columns. Okay, let me see that. Yeah, that's a 3 columns, so we want to repeat 3 times, and we want to be one fragment of this. Okay, So what's this going to make us? It's going to make a 3 equal columns for us, okay? And let's say that we want as well the row, and we say grid auto rows, and in the grid auto rows we can put min max. What this means is that we get the height of the items that we have inside. Okay, we say like a minimum height, and the maximum is going to be auto. Okay, the maximum is depend of the content that we have inside. So the minimum we can say 220 pixels, for example, and the other one we say that is going to be auto. Okay, so because we want to see what's happening inside, let's give us some color of our grid items. Okay, we say a grid item or items. What was it? It was item, just an item, and we say the background color is going to be DDD. We need as well some space between the items, so like this we can see more clearly. So for the space we can say grid, and there we go, grid gap. And the grid gap, let's say there is going to be a 15 pixel. What's that mean? Is the grid gap is just give a space between the items. Let's save this one and let's have a look what we have here. As you can see that we have a perfectly fine built boxes with the grid, with not so much code, isn't it? Okay, and as you can see that, well, it's not responsive because they don't change like from 3 columns to 2 columns to 1 columns, but that's we can do further on the example in the future, or if we short in the time we can do in different video just to make it responsive. Okay, now the idea here in this video is just to give you a basic idea of how this should work. Okay, well, let's move this logo a little bit more up, and logo here we say the Z index we want to be 2, and that should just work perfectly for us. Okay, so what we can do now is that we can compare with our design and we can see what we have here and how we manage this. Okay, let's say that we have the first box here, the second box here, and the third box here. Okay, so the second box is going to have a different class, and we can make look different using a CSS grid. What I mean by that is that let's go in our index and we say here, for example, grid item, a grid item, we say that's going to be a 2. Okay, and for the grid item 2, give me a second. Okay, so with the grid item 2 we're going to give a different style. Let's save it here. Let's go down in the grid, and here we say a grid item 2, and then now the grid column. Okay, means that now we have to specify how much columns we want that is taking our item. Okay, what I mean by that is that we want that start from 2, well, start from the second one, and it's going all until 4. Well, what I mean is that it's occupied the third and the fourth. I just show you the example here. What I mean, if we say start from 2 and going into 4, let's see what we get from this. If we save it, if we refresh, as you can see that the 2 is getting until the 4th, means that it's getting like the 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, and now we want to make it a down there as well, big as this, so means that down we want to start with the first and then growing until the third, okay, for the first, second and the third. So what we say is that with this one we are done, and then we say the grid, and that's going to be a grid row, and as I said, we start with the first and we finish in the third. Let's see that that's working. we save, we refresh, and there we go. Yeah, we got it like this. It is like this. Okay, so now we go in what's the first item, second, third, fourth. Okay, so we create the fourth item. Just a second. Same like the first one. What was the first one? Here, there we go. So this one, it's gone in number 4, and now you understand why I put all these numbers. We say a 4. Okay, we got to give a style of this. Let's save it here. Let's go down there. Let's copy actually this one, duplicate, and we just change the class, and we start to make it like we want. We want the start from here, so here we don't want to change absolutely nothing in the column, but we want to change in the row growth, so we want to start from first, second, third, I guess. Let me try to see that if we start from a third and we want there's getting 2 of these, so we say the third here, and then we say that it's finished in 5th. Let's see, actually that's going to work. And if we refresh, that's the 4th, and it's working perfectly. Okay, so let's continue with the other item, and in our case the other item is going to be item number 8. Let's have a look at the design. As you can see here, we have so far, that's the item number 4, and that's 5, 6, 7, and that's going to be a 8, and then we have a 9 as well. Okay, so let's say here, for example, first of all we create the class of 8 grid item, and then we say 8, and then we create the same for the 9. Okay, and we say okay, that's okay, and let's see how this it's going. Let's copy this class, down there we created, and we say that, let's see actually how that's going. First of all, we want the restart from actually we want the restart from 3 to 4, I think, so that should be fine. And then the row, it's going to be from this here, so that's mean 1, 2, 3, 4. Start from 4 or from 5, let me see. Let's say start from 4 and let's continue until 6. Let's see what's happening if we have it like that. We refresh. That's the 8, and it's perfect. Let's see that it's a 8, and that's the 9. The 9 is start from 1, then continue to 3. What's the 2 more here, and it's well, let's actually start working with 8, and now we say, sorry guys, that's the 9, and we say that start from 1, correct, finish in 3, okay, and if that's starting with 4, that should start from 5, okay, so that should start from 5, and that should finish in 7. No, actually finish in 8, because we want the small bit. No, actually it's finish in 7, that's correct. Let's finish in 7, let's see what we have here if we refresh. That's the hour 9. That's the hour element 9, and let me see that in the design what we have more. Well, we finished the 9. Just a second. We finished the 9, and then 11. No, actually, that's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so probably in the item 12, we have to create it here. Let me see. We copy this one in, we put in, in 12, okay. So now let's create the 12. So we just copy the item 12 and we go in the style, and actually that's going to be the last item that we create here. And well, the grid column, we want to be start from the second and then finish in the fourth, means that it's going to take a 2 in place. Let's see how this look like. Well, 12, it's here. Now we want that it's grooved down there. So what we can do is that we say grid dash row, and the grid row, it's going to be start from, well, let's say start from 7 and finish until 9. Well, let's experiment and see how that look like. And that's look perfect, okay? As you can see, that's look perfect here. So well, guys, I think that we done with the layout. As you can see that everything is aligned perfectly here, and it's everything the same like the design that we do here. Well, what we can do is that we can put, let's actually put some images just to get a little bit more nice looking this, and with this we can finish. Probably we're not going to style the images so much, we just put like that you can see that the grid is working with some content inside, okay? So let's go in the index, and actually now all these numbers we don't need it, so we can remove the numbers from here. We can remove as well from here into up into the one. We don't need any number because inside we're going to put the image tag, okay? And in the image tag, and we're going to use the images that I showed you that we have in the folder EMG. We just remove this one, and now we can continue down there like this. Then we say EMG, and then we say the EMG, it's the folder, and let's start with the first one that is a JPEG. Well, it's a 1 JPEG, and from here we start to change the numbers. That's going to be a 2, and that's going to be a 3, and that's going to be a 4, and so on and so on, okay? It's going to be a 6, that's going to be a 7, and that's going to be here the 8, that's going to be a 9, that's 11, and that's 12, and that's, oh, that's not possible. Yeah, that's not 11, sorry guys, that's 10, and that's 11. It's not possible because we have 13 and not 14, so that's 12, and that's the 13 here. They all JPEG. Let me see, the it's not something different here. Well, the fourth is JPG, so what is the fourth here? A JPG only. We save it, we go on our page, we refresh the page. Obviously they're huge, so what we can do for this is that we go in your style, we found just grid item. What we do is that we say a grid item, we want to select the EMG, and then we want to say that the width we want to be 100%, and with this we make 100%, and as you can see our grid here, it's done, okay? So guys, there we go. As you can see that we get this design here, and in few, well, less than a half an hour we may work this design on using only the CSS Grid. And well, we use for the header some flexbox, but as you can see that here we can see like a very basic CSS Grid. And when I said very basic CSS Grid, is that a CSS Grid that's huge and it has so much options that when we start to explore all the options, it's going to get many more than one video and many more than just half an hour. Okay, so guys, thank you so much. I hope so that that was usable for you, and if you like the video, please give us a thumbs up, and if you're not subscribed yet, so please subscribe so I appreciate a lot if you do this for me. Okay, thanks a lot and have a nice day. Bye.